Opinion.
Sunday kind of sucks. And the Broncos had us do that for Jets and Broncos in London and came out in that first quarter in Elo. And I'm like, okay, they're up 10-6. They gifted the Jets 6 points. Bo was 11 for 13 for more than 100 yards. All right, he's going to throw 300 plus. They're going to cruise 30-10, something like that, 30-13. No, not so fast. It was the opposite of the Bengals game. That Cincinnati game was such a frustrating first quarter, and then they turned it on. And you explain to me, if you can, why did they look so good on offense? I'm not saying special teams or defense were great in the first quarter, although it wasn't the defense's fault. The Jets had 2 short fields. But outside of the Troy Franklin fumble, it's like, okay, they're going to roll. They're going to get going. And the wheels just came off. They fell apart. Do you have any explanation for why those last 3 quarters in London were so hard to watch?
Well, if I had an explanation, first and foremost, pleasure to be here with you tonight, Will. I actually like the morning games, the 7:30 a.m. game. That's a conversation for a little bit later on in the program. But if I had the answers, I'd probably be working for the Broncos right now because...
I don't think Sean would listen to you.
Yeah, I guess that is probably true. But it was bizarre, right? Because it's like you wake up and it's like, okay, like the eyes are a little heavy. Like, get the coffee on the pot, away we go. But it's like, here's the Joker. Here's Evan Ingram. Ooh, Cortland Sutton with a nice catch. Had another one that got called back with the flag, right? The running game never really got going in this. But it looked like the Broncos had a real concerted point of attack on offense to open up this game. And Sean Payton was saying, don't say the L word. We're not talking about London. We're not talking about this trip. It's just another game. It's a business trip. Well, it looked like anything but that for the Denver Broncos. So I'm sure it's a combination of, some scripted stuff, right? Like, here's what we want to do on our first couple of drives. Here's what we got to look for. And also, I know they're undefeated, or they're winless. They're not undefeated. I don't know if the Jets' defense isn't nearly as atrocious as their offense is. And I think this Broncos offense is still very much a work in progress, right? I mean, you got Cortland Sutton. Bo Nix looks a little up and down throughout the course of the year. J.K. Dobbins has been nice in spurts, but this Broncos offense is far from its complete form, and I think it showed itself against the Jets.
Yeah, and it was just disappointing because Bo, like I said, over 100 yards in the first quarter, and he only finishes with 174 on the day. And it took him into the fourth quarter to finally complete a pass in the second half. We heard from Bo after the game, and he talked about kind of a tale of two halves, and he said it. They did, quote, just enough, and they did do just enough. They finally put a drive together late, down 11-10. He got Ingram going. He got Mims going a little bit. Will Lutz made the field goal, and obviously the defense, and we'll get to them in a moment. He prays on them. Just a ridiculous day. Justin Fields, a net -10 passing yards, 9 sacks, held the Jets to 82 yards. It was an unbelievable defensive performance, but we already knew the defense was good. And I was hoping for sort of a slump buster game for the offense. And the problem is this offense only shows it in spurts. Like the fourth quarter in Philly was great. First 3 quarters, trash. And then they just totally flipped the script. First quarter in London, pretty damn good, other than the Franklin fumble. 10 points again. And last 3 quarters, trash. So you look at their last 8 quarters of football, offensively, 6 of them have been disgusting, terrible, hard to watch. 2 of them have been really good. There's just no consistency right now. And last year you could chalk it up to Bo being a rookie. And Bo really turned things on. He did. After a tough September, he was nails in October, November, and December, and even played okay in Buffalo. People are going to say, well, he only scored 7 points. Well, they had like 4 or 5 drops that day in the playoffs against the Bills, but I'm not out on Bo Nix by any stretch. I'm still a Bo Nix guy. I still think he's a franchise QB. This is a little bit of a sophomore slump, something that I dismissed as not going to happen, and I'll eat a little crow. Bo Nix is in a bit of a sophomore slump.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's his own doing or it's a combination of the play calling. Like, I run our social media for us. Check us out, DenverSports 1043. And, I post the post-game graphic, right? And everybody's talking about play calling. I post something today, your column, we'll talk about it a little bit later on the program. People are chirping about, play calling this, that, play calling that. And to your point, you point out the previous games. I mean, even the Indianapolis game, right? 21 points there in the first half compared to just 7 there in the second half. So it's a bit of a flip-flop dynamic with this Denver Broncos offense right now. And from afar, it just seems like there's too many gadget plays. They're just trying to be too cute. sometimes on offense. It's like pound the rock, play action, slants, mesh routes over the middle. And I'm not smarter than Sean Payton. I'm not trying to say that, but like sometimes from afar, like what was that scenario where they ran the gadget play to Marvin Mims? I think that was a 3rd and short potentially, but like there's just some of these times where they try to get too cute. Now, the duality of that is the Nate Atkins touchdown pass. That was kind of a gadget funky type of play. That worked out terrifically.
Super well designed, yeah.
But it just seems like they're just overcomplicating their game plan on offense at times. And Bo, I think, also scrambles and moves out of the pocket at times when he doesn't have to, a little prematurely.
Yeah, and he seems like he's more comfortable throwing on the run, but sometimes that leads to kind of wild throws. I mean, go look at Bo Nix's best throws as a rookie. He was planted in the pocket when he was hitting Mims for all those deep touchdowns against the Browns and the Bengals, the one in Buffalo against the Bills to Troy Franklin. And I wasn't trying to dismiss it last week, but I did kind of power rank my offensive linemen who couldn't get hurt, and Ben Powers was 4th on my list because I put Garrett Bowles at 1 because he's a left tackle that looks like the best in the league. I put Quinn Miners at 2 because he's an all-pro. I put Mike McGlinchey at 3 for his leadership, veteran presence, guy who's played in a lot of big games over the years with the 49ers. And I put Powers at 4, and I tweeted it kind of facetiously, but maybe I shouldn't have. Ben Powers looks like an MVP for the Broncos because they couldn't run the ball at all. J.K. Dobbins felt like he was just getting eaten up at the line, only averaged 2.9 yards per carry on his 14 attempts, a measly 40 yards for Dobbins, clearly his worst game in a Broncos uniform. Did they miss Powers more than we realized? Was Matt Pert simply that bad? And the news of the day, if you've missed it, is Matt Pert is going on IR. So I am never rooting for anyone to get hurt, but they're going to have to make a change there, something I would have done whether Pert had gotten hurt or not. I would have started Alex Palczewski at left guard, said that last week. I'll say it again this week. Their hand may be forced, but did we undervalue the importance of Ben Powers based on how anemic the running game was and just that they couldn't move the football?
I think so. And I'll give JK a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I mean, he's like been one of the better running backs in the NFL to open up the season. So, this is a little bit of not a little bit. It is a down game for him. And I also hate to throw this cliche out there. I actually do think a lot of the struggles, like if this is in New York or if this is in Denver, I think the outcome and just the overall flow of the game is completely different. I'm hard-pressed to believe that playing in London and the theatrics and everything that comes with that. I mean, Sean Payton's post-game press conference was like 30 minutes long. It's like double what it normally is, it feels like. I'd be remiss if I said that I didn't think that played a factor in the overall outcome of the game. Not mutually exclusive to the Broncos. A lot of these London games can be a bit quirky and a little clunky as well.
Yeah, but on the other side of the coin there, they did spend the entire week in London. We saw the pictures emerging. I mean, they were literally on like the countryside. They weren't in downtown partying.
Right.
There was like a wheat field that had a football field mowed into it. I think they did a pretty good job of eliminating the distractions, and I see why you go there, but I also think that's letting them off the hook a little bit of just saying, well, they sucked because they were in London. I think they kind of just sucked on offense in that game.
And I was kind of red hot after the game, right? Like I'm sitting here like, what the heck is wrong with this offense? What's going on? And now that we're more than 24 hours removed from it, it's a win, right? And I think that's the reality of the situation is because I agree with you. Like I'm not trying to let them off the hook necessarily, but I guess I am. Maybe I am putting my foot in my mouth when I say that as well. Like, to me, the objective of the London game is go out there and get the win by any means necessary. The Denver Broncos did that, so the mission was accomplished. Mike Evans always talks about style points matter, this, that, the other. Obviously, you like to see them win in beautiful fashion, but to me, the fact that they got to win an ugly one at that is satisfactory to me. You just don't want to see this type of performance again from them moving forward.
Yeah, but that's going a little inner Sean there. He told Troy Rank, well, no one's going to remember this in 3 weeks because we got to win. I think we're going to remember that one for a while. I mean, it was hard on the eyes, and you were not playing some sort of powerhouse where, if they beat the Chiefs 13-11, I'll agree with you. Win is a win. Happy to get it. Knocked off Kansas City. I'm sorry. The Jets are going to have the number 1 pick in the draft. You need to beat them by more than 2 points on a 13-11 type score. You just do for me to truly believe that this team, as currently constructed, can go to the Super Bowl.
Here's the other thing, and you use that word, Super Bowl. I was talking about with Zach Bye in one of his commercial breaks because I do think, without a doubt, the Broncos' defense is Super Bowl caliber. I mean, that defensive front is absolutely rock solid. Here's the kind of, silver lining or, optimistic point of view after this game, as ugly as it was for the Broncos in the win. Look at the Bills last night. right? The Chiefs have been up and down. I'm not so sure there is a single great team in the NFL right now, Will. And it's been that case for the last couple of years. I know Kansas City's been there. Philly's been good as well. But the Eagles have struggled. The Chiefs have looked ugly. The Baltimore Ravens have one win. Houston can't figure it out. And I'm looking at this Broncos defense, and I'm not trying to get too far ahead of myself here, but there's not that daunting Tom Brady-esque Patriots team or the Roethlisberger-led Steelers or some of these juggernauts that we've seen in the NFL in years past that I actually think it bodes well for the Broncos because it just seems like the league as a whole is lacking those really, really elite teams, and the Broncos are one of the better teams, and that might bode well for them towards the end of the season.
Yeah, you certainly want to get hot and steal a game or steal a couple of games in the playoffs because you're just riding momentum of a great unit. And frankly, we saw that in Super Bowl 50 and the run leading up to it. I mean, what they did to Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, and Cam Newton all in their primes in a span of 4 weeks, real life, 3 weeks on the field was just remarkable. And yeah, the defense had been really good all year, don't get me wrong, but they turned it up even to a new ridiculous level in the playoffs when Peyton Manning was there as a leader, and he did make a couple big throws in the AFC title game, a couple touchdowns, so and Daniels, but Peyton Manning was clearly at the very, very end of his career. He even joked about it at the ESPYs. You remember he had the infamous Kevin Durant joke of, our U.S. women's gymnastics team is so strong that I heard Kevin Durant's joining them next year. And the camera panned to Durant, and he was all mad or whatever. But another classic line from Peyton was something, and I'm paraphrasing, something along the lines of, and Von Miller's here, the guy who dragged me to my second Lombardi trophy. So even Peyton himself acknowledged that defense got hot, and that's why they hoisted the trophy. And this defense is, they're remarkable. And people are throwing Justin Fields under the bus and saying he stinks. But the reality is, Zach outlined it great during the drive. They're on pace to break the sack record for a single season for a team. In fact, they're on pace to do it in 15 games. Nick Bonito is the favorite for Defensive Player of the Year as we sit here at this very moment. Jonathan Cooper, another couple sacks last week. Talanoa Hufanga, let's talk about that. It's 13-11, and the Jets have third down, and I'm sitting here going, are we going to get walked off on a field goal for the third time this year? And Justin Fields throws it to Garrett Wilson, and it looked like he had the ball in Elo. And Talanoa just gets in there and just jabs at the ball, knocks it out. And everyone wants to talk about the play on fourth down. And don't get me wrong, it was great to get the 9th sack and be able to take the knee. But to me, it was the play on third down. Because if the Jets get that first down, they're kicking a field goal with Nick Folk with 2-3 seconds left. And you're at the mercy of your special teams to either block a kick or have a shank from going to 3-3. That defense was just unreal, and Surtain was great, Hufanga was great, Cooper was great, Bonito was great. It's starting to feel like the Super Bowl 50 defense where you go from the secondary to the edge rushers to everyone in between. This unit's just awesome.
Brandon Stokely said as much in the post-game reaction video I did with him yesterday. Check it out on social media at DenverSports 1043, that it is starting to feel like that 2015 squad. And isn't it interesting, and I understand why, but they did win the game. It's a complete duality in the sense of the offense was absolutely putrid after the first quarter, but that is a 10 out of 10 plus performance from the defense, and it feels like all anyone wants to talk about is the offense and what's wrong with Bo and Sean Payton's play calling and wide receiver depth and offensive line injuries, all of which are valid. But the other side of the coin is this defense is living up to the hype and the expectation that was set for them, and I'm not trying to say they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, but if they continue up at this pace, that defense might be able to make up and fill up a lot of the holes that the Broncos offense has been lacking in as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, clearly. And that's what happened 10 years ago. There's no doubt about it, but it just doesn't feel real sustainable. It feels more like lightning in a bottle to me than it does a week in and week out formula. RamosLaw.com text line 303-713-1043. The 6404 says, this team feels like it plays to its competition most weeks, the Bengals game excluded. But winning some ugly close games isn't something they've been good at, so maybe that's the upside here. But I agree, it is hard to feel great about it. Yeah, I think that's a great text. Excellent text. Appreciate you chiming in. Sometimes ugly close games are key to a team's confidence and are key to learning how to win. It felt like they didn't know how to win against the Colts. They felt like they didn't know how to win against the Chargers. You want to go glass half full. What finally happened? The defense got the stop when they needed it.
Right.
Couldn't get the stop in Indy. Couldn't get the stop in L.A. Got the stop in London. I get inferior competition, but still, that is a stepping stone forward, and I appreciate the texter pointing that out.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the sustainability of the defense is definitely something to question, but I also think as long as they're healthy with that defensive line, I mean, how can you not expect big things from them on a game-in and game-out basis? Pair that with the reigning defending defensive player of the year. The point I'm trying to make is the Broncos are so sound on defense that if they get hung 30 on them, something went terribly wrong. And then we're all pointing the finger at Vance Joseph. Like, the expectation for the Broncos defense on a game-in and game-out basis is to hold this team to, 2 touchdowns and a field goal or so. Like, that's where we're at with just the level of competition and just the level of talent on that defense. Offensively, it's more just like frustrating because you see it in spurts. Like, you see it in these individual quarters. You see it in the first half against the Indianapolis Colts. You see it for a majority of the game against the Bengals after a bit of a slow start. So it's like, why can't they get there consistently? That's the biggest question we're all trying to figure out in Denver sports. And I guess where I fall back on is let's just simplify the game plan here a little bit. It just looks like they're trying to do too much sometimes on offense.
Yeah, it's not like the offense has been pathetic all season long.
No.
They've just been pathetic in long spurts that have been tough to watch. But you're right. There are quarters, there are glimpses, there are blips of like, that's how you do it. But you mentioned if the defense can hold opposing teams to 2 touchdowns and a field goal, well, that's 17 points. I mean, Bo Nix is a good enough quarterback that the Broncos should be able to win games 20-17,
yes.
24-17, 27-17. The 3493 says the Broncos definitely looked like they had been chilling in the countryside and then expected to wake up and play a football game. Have you not spent time in the country? It's very relaxing. Little facetious, little sarcastic, but I think point well taken is that it is easy to start to feel like a vacation, and we heard Philip Lindsay talk a lot about that last week, that some of the guys are going to treat this like a vacation. I'm not saying their focus level wasn't sharp enough. It just wasn't their execution. And yeah, they kind of did play like a football team that was in a 5-star hotel in the middle of the beautiful English countryside for 6 days.
What I think is strange is how they started hot, as we've talked about, but then fell off, right? Like, I would expect it to be the opposite. I would expect them to come out a little sleepwalky, a little slow, and then hit their stride late in the second quarter into the second half and whatnot. It was the complete opposite of that in this game against the Jets. And again, to go back to the London dynamic, like, I'm just happy they got a win, because this is the only game on the schedule where you have to deal with these adverse dynamics, right? And I bring up Sean Payton's post-game press conference. Like, half the questions were about, the ability and the experience of playing outside of the United States. So, like, there's more going on, more media availability, more different things you have to do, different country, everything like that, that we'd be remiss to say that it doesn't play a factor into this. But, Will, to your point, they're playing anybody but the Jets in that game. They're probably losing that game, Will.
Oh, yeah, 30-ish, 29, 28 of the NFL teams would have beaten that version of the Broncos on Sunday because the Jets managed only 82 yards and still had 11 points. Again,
Crazy.
Most of those were gifts from the Broncos, from the field goals in the great field position to the holding in the end zone for the safety that ultimately put the Jets up 11-10. You did mention, though, how did they come out fast? Well, I've got a theory for you. I thought in that first quarter they actually used tempo. And we heard Sean Payton talking about tempo a couple weeks ago, and he said, well, I can't go tempo 24/7, 365 because then my defense gets tired. Okay, I get it, but also the game came to a slog, grinding halt after that first quarter because they weren't in tempo. I thought in the first quarter, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it felt like 70 to 75% of the offensive snaps were boom, boom, boom. That changed the last 3 quarters, so that is a theory for you.
That's a great point, and I think back to that Oregon-Colorado game in Deion's first year where Bo Nix and company just absolutely ran up the score on CU. That was a tempo-driven offense. Like, it was very much, snap the ball, get your 5-6 yards right up to the line, call the next play, and away we go. Maybe that is playing towards Bo Nix's strengths a little bit, try to keep him in the flow and the mojo of the offense and the rhythm and whatnot. So that's definitely a good point that you bring up. And I think Bo has to step it up as well. Like, I'm not going to sit here and just say, like, oh, Sean Payton's play calling is an atrocity, right? I think he could be better. I think we can simplify the game plan. But Bo Nix, talking about that sophomore slump dynamic, at times does look like that deer in the headlights. It still looks like the game is coming to him a little quickly. And I think Dan Orlovsky on this station said something great after the first or second game of the season. The indicator of a cool, calm, and collected Bo Nix is the feet. You got to see how he's moving his feet in the pocket, because so far throughout the course of the year, when there's any sense of pressure, he's, doing a little tap dance back there, and that's not going to be well. So they got to get it cleaned up. A win is a win. And I'm not jumping off the Bo Nix train. I'm not jumping off the Broncos train. Again, I told you, I'm not sure there's a single great elite team in the NFL this season. There might be a lot of really good teams. The Broncos can certainly be one of them. And with that defense, it might be able to take them to where they want to go. But we got to see that offense step it up, my friend.
Well, you mentioned the rest of the league, and I tweeted this out last night after the Bills lost to go to 4-2, and it's crazy that tweeting a screenshot of the standings can get people so excited, but it does. This thing's got 127,000 views, 2,200 likes, just basically me pointing out that the AFC is wide open. I said, in fact, the Broncos are a leverage, and I put that in quotes, penalty away from being the current number 1 seed in the entire conference. I mean, and that's just a fact. You look at it, they're currently the 7 seed at 4-2. The Colts are the 1 seed at 5-1. Pittsburgh checks in as the 2 seed at 4-1. Now, they've had their bye, but last time I checked, 5-1, 833 win percentage is going to be ahead of 4-1. If leverage isn't called against Indy, Anilo, and they're 5-1 as we sit here today, we are talking about the number 1 seed in the AFC. Think about that. If I told you that before the year, you'd say, well, where's Kansas City? Where's Baltimore? Where's Buffalo? They're a fluky penalty on a 60-yard field goal away from being in the bye position, which is massive because there's only 1 bye in each conference now. And second, why do the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl every year? Because they have to play 2 games at Arrowhead. That's all they have to do. If you're the 1 seed, you're never going on the road. If you get to the big game, you're going to a neutral site, and you would simply have to win 2 games at Empower Field at Mile High to go to the Super Bowl. Colts 5-1, Steelers 4-1, Chargers, Patriots, Bills, Jaguars, Broncos all 4-2. This thing is more wide open than I can remember, quite frankly, in my lifetime as a football fan.
Yeah, you and me both, and that's where I'll kind of take the glass half full approach because, yeah, like Indianapolis at 5-1 on top of the AFC. Does anybody expect the Indianapolis Colts to end up as the 1 seed in the AFC when we're all said and done?
That would shock
me.
So
I'm looking at it as like, okay, like the Broncos are in a very good position. Like looking at some of the teams in front of them, Pittsburgh hasn't played anyone yet. The Chargers are being the Chargers right now and have ruined in a tremendous 3-0 advantage. The Patriots are pretty good. Their schedule's weak, so they got to keep an eye on them, but I'm still not sold on them long term. You expect Buffalo to pick it up. They still got to play the Chiefs among some other teams as well. I expect Jacksonville to be competitive, but maybe come back down to earth. Kansas City's Kansas City. Houston will figure it out as well, I would imagine. But the Broncos, you could make a legitimate argument that if they take care of business and win the games that they're supposed to win, remember, a third-place schedule the Broncos are playing. And I know that they have some tough games on that schedule as well, most recently coming up here, the Giants, who look better than maybe we all thought before the year. But the Broncos are in a really good position. So, yes, they're a goofy leverage penalty away from being in sole possession of first place or being in first place in the AFC, but they're also not that far off after 2 crushing losses as well.
Yeah, and the Chiefs certainly lurked there at 3-3. That Lions game was frustrating to watch. It felt very vintage Mahomes. Every third down that was key, he was getting. Every flag that was coming on the field was going against Kansas City's opponent. Detroit just happened to be the culprit, but yeah, I mean, you don't have the tiebreaker with Indy, which stinks because if you finish with the same record as the Colts, they'll finish above you in the standings. But 7 of the next 11 at home, 12-5, that could be a 1 seed type record this year. Normally, 1 seed, you got to go 14-3 or 15-2. I don't think there's a 14-3 or 15-2 team out there, not only in the AFC, but in the entire NFL. And yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but that's why it's fun to be a fan. 12-5 could mean playing 2 playoff games at Empower Field at Mile High for a trip to Santa Clara. Just something to keep an eye on. Do you think, too, is the biggest threat in the AFC the Chiefs? And that's what's funny to me even saying that out loud because, it was the biggest threat, the 8th seed. I kind of think the biggest threat is the 8th seed. I think of all those teams, Colts, Steelers, Chargers, Patriots, Bills, Jaguars, Chiefs, Texans, I think the Chiefs still scare me the most.
Yeah, I would agree. And they've looked much better in the last couple of games. Much better. And it's just, I'm not betting against the Chiefs. Like, that's the thing, is like, it would be great if the Broncos were on the other side of the draw and didn't have to face them until a potential championship game if it does get that far and whatnot. But, like, until I see the Chiefs lose in the playoffs, I've seen Buffalo lose in the playoffs. I've seen Cincinnati lose in the playoffs. I've seen these other teams, Houston, lose in the playoffs. I've seen Kansas City, and to their credit, they've lost some games as well. But I'm not going against, like, Patrick Mahomes will always scare me until he doesn't, right? And until I see the Chiefs truly get knocked off and have a 9, 10, even an 11-win season, I'm always going to be, afraid of that Chiefs team coming up in any game, even if they're on the road, an underdog, whatever it might be, to come out there and get the win with that head coach, tight end, and quarterback combination.
Well, that's why you got to win the AFC West, because you got to send Kansas City on the road. And I know people are going to say, well, they went to Baltimore a couple years ago, and they went to Buffalo a couple years ago, and they went to the Super Bowl. I get it. But you still got to send KC on the road, and quite frankly, I'm not ashamed to say it. Hopefully they're on the other side of the bracket. Like, people always say, well, you got to beat the best to be the best. I don't care. If someone wants to knock the Dallas Stars out in the playoffs for the Avalanche, great.
Yep.
If someone wants to take care of the Chiefs and then the Broncos get to play them at home, whoever beats the Chiefs in the AFC title game, Great, fine with me. Tons of texts coming in. Can't get to them all, I promise. I do read them all, and I appreciate them. But the ones on air can't, again, do every single one. But the 8575 says, hey, if you go tempo for at least the first half, hopefully you're up double digits and the D can really eat. I agree. I think the texts are spot on there. I think if you kept up the tempo, you could have been up 20-6 at halftime. And then that game could have been a laugher. Instead, you took the foot off the gas, and it was too close at half. Certainly way too close when you're losing 11-10. I would be surprised, especially at altitude, this Sunday against the Giants, if the Broncos don't use a fair amount of tempo 3/4 of the football game. I think you have to, because your offense, when you have tempo, moves the ball. When you don't, stuck in the mud.
Well, and that's the thing, is going back to the point that I've made about a lack of great teams. Like, it sometimes feels like Sean Payton is calling plays knowing, they're going up against an Aaron Rodgers in the NFC, and they have to, win these shootout-type games. Like, the Broncos could average, they put up 21, 24 points a game, they can win. And I think this is where Sean Payton has to adjust himself and check himself a little bit and simplify the game plan and just make life like, right now, it seems like Bo Nix is trying to catch up to Sean Payton's speed. I think it needs to be a little bit of the other way, where Sean Payton needs to catch up or maybe come down to Bo Nix's speed and develop that confidence and build that momentum and then open up the playbook a little bit more.
Well, tempo is certainly one solution. What Anilo said is another. I'll give you a third, though. I think the Broncos need to add another weapon before the trade deadline. I'll tell you who and what position next.
Did the Broncos defense just send a message to the rest of the NFL?
The defense was special. And this is what I thought we would see from the defense. I thought they had a chance to be special, and they showed it yesterday. They're sitting at 4-2. I'm not going to be too negative here. Broncos got to win, and that defense was special.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hi, I'm Michael from the War and Treaty. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. Only Novo Nordisk makes FDA-approved Ozempic. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5 milligram, 1 milligram, and 2 milligrams.
The holidays are here, full of joy, family, friends, and yes, a little hustle and bustle. That's why you need Aleve. Between cooking, shopping, and all those extra errands, aches and pains can sneak in. Aleve is here to help with long-lasting body pain relief. Don't let body pain slow you down. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, you can keep up with the season's magic and all that awaits. Pick up Aleve and get back to what really matters, making memories. Use as directed.
I should have had Done Right do it. Don't be that person that says this after ordering your remodeling project. Hi folks, Dan Cicchini, owner of Done Right Kitchens and Baths, Windows and Doors. Simply put, we make people happy by being particular, just like you. 800-362-8370.
Join Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan and Modelo at Mile High Station on Sunday, October 19th from noon to 2:05 p.m. for the Fan Football pregame show. Get your head in the game with orange and blue face painting and Modelo. Modelo, brewed for full-time fans.
Cool nights are here and winter is on the way. Protect your home with the strength and beauty of Infinity by Marvin Windows from Gravina's Window Center of Littleton. This month only, save 25% on windows and 20% on James Hardy siding. With flexible financing, no interest options, and zero down. Upgrading has never been easier. Call today at 303-794-0490 or go to windowsforyourhome.com. Gravina's Window Center of Littleton, trusted by Colorado families for over 50 years.
Upgrade your hunting arsenal with premium brands at great prices during the Shields Hunting Sale event happening now through October 19th. Scope out savings on your favorite brands in camo, rifles, ammunition, and so much more. Like $200 off the Sitka Fanatic jacket and up to $500 off the Leupold VX5 HD rifle scope. Join the community of hunters who trust Shields experts to outfit their adventures and get more bang for your buck now through October 19th at Shields.
If you're considering sedation dentistry and want to learn more about it, Clarkson Dental can help. When it comes to your health, you want to make sure you know all the details. The highly trained professionals at Clarkson Dental have your answers. Learn more at coloradosedation.com.
Stokely here from my friends at 5280 Waste Solutions of Denver. Unhappy with your home or business trash and recycling service? Need a temporary dumpster for a project? Call 5280 Waste Solutions at 303-529-2329. Colorado isn't just where they work, it's home. They guarantee swift, on-time pickup for residential and commercial customers. Make the switch and get reliable local service you can count on. Go to 5280waste.com. 5280 Waste Solutions, your hometown brand.
Fall means football, and at Postman Law, we know winning matters. Our attorneys have won more than $3 billion for our clients, delivering the results they need when life gets tough. Car crash, workplace injury, serious accident. We know the insurance company's playbook, and we're here to help rewrite it for you with speed, ease, and results. Call 844-POSTMAN or visit postmanlaw.com. Others promise. Postman delivers. This is attorney advertising.
Hey guys, your boy Steve here today about my long-term buddy Troy Hansford. And if you're thinking about selling your house for any reason, now might be the time to sell, still get top dollar. Believe it or not, my guy Troy is still offering his $5,000 guarantee. What is it, you ask? Well, if he can't sell your house at your price on your timeline that you agree upon beforehand, bam, going to cut you a check for $5,000. Who else makes the offer? Nobody I've ever heard of. And he makes that offer because he continues to spend a ton of money marketing his listings, has about 100 families approved and ready to buy right now. And if for any reason you need to sell right away, Troy can buy your house, all cash, and he can close in as little as 7 days. You have a house to sell, Troy probably has that perfect buyer for you right now, waiting for you to pick up the phone and to call him. Call Troy, get your home sold for the most money. That's 720-900-4433, 720-900-4433. Troy Hansford of RE/MAX Professionals, a Colorado licensed broker. Some restrictions do apply. Want to sell your house? Then call my buddy Troy, 720-900-4433.
Catch Telestrator Tuesday weekly on Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, where Stink or Stoke dive into the past weekend's games with a coach's eye, using insights into what went right and wrong on critical plays. Telestrator Tuesdays, powered by Colorado Credit Union. Love where you live, love where you bank.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station, 104.3 The Fan.
All right, so I've got a theory, and I want to bounce it off Anilo. Will Peterson in on DST on this Tuesday. I think that the Broncos should add another offensive weapon before the NFL trade deadline. Trade deadline's November 4th, guys, so it is coming up here in just about 3 weeks from today. Adam Schefter reported over the weekend that he expects a flurry of activity. Real quick side note, you and I are both, well, I'm in my mid-30s. What are you, late 20s, early 30s?
Late 20s.
Late 20s. When we were kids, an NFL trade was like a big deal. Like, a trade. And I do love the fact that the NFL has become a lot more like basketball and hockey and baseball, that, yeah, trades are still going to get attention, but they're so much more commonplace now than they used to be. I mean, Champ Bailey for Clinton Portis in the early 2000s was one of the biggest trades in NFL history. And I get it. It was two star players. Champ was a star corner, and Clinton, I'm not going to sell Clinton short. He was arguably the best running back in the NFL when he got traded, but those things were rare. I think now you see more trades all the time. Anilo, I would expect a dozen-ish trades between now and November 4th. Ooh. And I think the Broncos need to make one. Position-wise, I think it's a wide receiver, because offensive line, yeah, I get they're a little beat up, but they still have one of the better units in the league, and Ben Powers is coming back, knock on wood, in December. Running back, I'm happy with J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. Tight end, Evan Ingram is showing a lot of signs of life, and Nate Atkins and Adam Troutman and Lucas Kroll have been serviceable backup / second-tier options. Quarterback, well, guess what? Sean Payton would quit before he's making a change there, so I'm not even going to bring it up. But receiver, man, receiver's the position. I'll give you some names here in a minute. But on the surface, does adding a wide receiver to this team, even if it costs you, yes, a premium draft pick, a second, third rounder, if you want to swing for some big names, is that something that entices you?
Yes, because as we talked about in the last segment, I think the NFL is wide open this year. I just truly don't believe there's a giant, a monster that you have to get past. Now, Kansas City's going to be a thorn in a lot of teams' sides, but, they're kind of they're playing from behind the 8 ball right now with just their overall record. And I mean, Buffalo last night, you saw them fall to the Falcons, right? We've seen Houston get off to a sloppy start. Baltimore somehow has 1 win right now. So if you're the Broncos, you're looking at this as our most wide open opportunity to go out there and push the chips into the center of the table. In a long, long time, you might as well cash in. And I think the 3 position groups that people are most anxious or, want the Broncos to attack and add something to, as you alluded to, wide receiver. I think linebacker is a position of need, but they haven't seen Drake Greenlaw yet, so I'll kind of discount that.
He's almost like a trade deadline addition if he comes back healthy.
At this point, 100%. And then now, because of the injuries, I think it's offensive line. But offensive line is arguably the hardest position to trade for just because when you get good offensive linemen, you don't let them go, even if they're 50-50, right? Like it's so hard to hit on quality offensive linemen that it seems like the place where the Broncos could get the most amount of help for the least amount of assets is probably the wide receiver position.
All right, and here's my logic behind it, because Courtland Sutton has had some nice moments, but we all know he's a fringe number 1 in the NFL. And then after that, Troy Franklin's dropping the football again, had a fumble early versus the Jets. Marvin Mims, in my eyes, hasn't taken the next step to be an every down player, at least not quite yet. Pat Bryant, he's a rookie. Doesn't look like he's going to contribute much in 2025. Maybe down the road he'll be a player, but haven't seen anything through 6 games. I go, oh, Pat Bryant's the answer. And then Trent Sherfield at this point in his career is a special teams player. And yes, the Devon Vele trade to me was a head scratcher at the time and remains that way. But I think Sean Payton and George Payton need to be thinking about a bigger splash. And the 2 biggest splashes would be good wide receivers on bad football teams. And I'll give you 2 names. These are my 1A and 1B target. I think Garrett Wilson from the Jets, who we just saw Patrick Surtain clamp down, but that's what PS2 does. And I think Jalen Waddle from the Dolphins. Those by far are the best players on the worst teams that are going to be sellers. Their GMs know their seasons are shot. They know they got to stock the cupboard with draft picks for future years. Darren Muji is now the GM of the Jets. He was the assistant here for a while. Easy to do business with him. Broncos and Dolphins have done plenty of business before. Don't forget, Bradley Chubb got traded to Miami for a first-round pick that they eventually used to trade for Sean Payton. Yes, they didn't hire Sean Payton. They traded for Sean Payton. Those would be my targets. Are you intrigued by Wilson and or Waddle? And does that check the box of like, wow, big enough name, you put them opposite Courtland Sutton, this offense is going to take big steps forward?
Well, I think in general, I'm intrigued with the idea of adding a wide receiver just because you and I are doing Denver Sports Tonight, filling in on different shows throughout the course of the, over the course of the station and whatnot. And the one constant that we were talking about in the offseason is, do the Broncos have enough at wide receiver?
Sure.
Like, is Courtland Sutton a true number 1? I think he's, playing that way so far this year, minus the Jet game. But, Evan Ingram, in spurts we've seen, I know he's a tight end, but he can fit that kind of receiver type of role as well. But there's something to be desired for the Broncos in the passing game right now. Now, is that attributed to play calling? Is that attributed to Bo in the pocket and whatnot? But point blank, I do think the Broncos could use some reinforcements in the wide receiver room. And I like those names that you threw out. I think I like Jalen Waddle a little bit more than Garrett Wilson. Wilson just recently signed a 4-year, $130 million contract extension, so some more money on the books there. Jalen Waddle also recently signed a contract extension, 3 years, $84.75 million, but that happened in 2024. So a little bit less money that the Broncos would be on the hook for, but I think both of those guys would really add a new layer of dynamic to this Broncos passing game.
All right, I love it. And the good news about the money, first of all, it's not our money, and the Waltons have $80 billion.
Yes. Cap construction, though.
Yeah, but that was going to be my second point. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think the salary cap's a bit of a myth in the NFL. I think it's the easiest cap by a million miles in all the sports to get around and navigate and negotiate. The NBA, you got aprons, what no one understands. The NHL, frankly, you just have a flat-out hard cap that you can't navigate. What did Sean Payton do for years and years and years in New Orleans? Cap gymnastics. What can he do here? Cap gymnastics. You can create money into bonus money, signing money, upfront money. We all love and respect Mr. Bolin. Broncos were not cash heavy when Mr. Bolin owned this team. They are now cash heavy. You can just pay guys up front and lose some of the cap hit. I appreciate you bringing up the numbers because on the surface, they are definitely eye-popping. $130 million, $84 million. But if you really want to get it done, I think you can get it done. I think what maybe some might be more worried about is, say the Jets say, yeah, give us a first for Garrett Wilson. Is that too steep a price? Do you draw the line at a second? Do you draw the line at a third for Waddle? What are you willing to part with draft capital-wise to make this happen?
Yeah, I think a first is a bit steep. A second even sounds a bit steep for me as well. I mean, George Pickens got, a fifth? I want to say, in the offseason from the Cowboys.
And he's been great for Dallas. He's been great.
Right, and I think George Pickens, you put him in the same category as a Garrett Wilson or a Jalen Waddle, I think, based off of talent and whatnot. Can I throw out a wild card name here real
Absolutely.
quick?
Give us all the names.
You're talking about good receivers on bad teams?
Mm-hmm.
There's a familiar face.
Oh, don't do it.
Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy. Is that someone you'd be intrigued with bringing back potentially? I know there was some rough times with Jerry, both on and off the field, but he does fit that mold of quality receiver on a bad team going nowhere.
Ugh.
Sean has some experience with him.
Yeah, he also demanded Sean trade him, and Sean said, I'm not trading you. Made him play another year with Russell Wilson. Then Sean said, okay, I'll give you your wish, and I'll trade you.
But let's say it's Garrett Wilson or Waddle for a second or a third and Jeudy for a fourth or a fifth.
But here's the thing about Jeudy. One, he drops the ball. Drops the ball too much for my liking. And two, I'm sorry. Guy's attitude stinks. Body language stinks. And I think Sean has done a really good job of weeding those guys out of the locker room. I mean, you think of the Frank Clarks and the Randy Gregorys that Sean said, see ya.
Yep.
Heck, I know he's beloved in this town, and he was always nice enough to me. But Brandon McManus, I think Brandon McManus, he showed up to training camp in a ref jersey. He thought, I'm the only guy left from Super Bowl 50. I'm bigger than this team. I'm good. Sean said, no, see ya. I don't need you.
Adios.
That's
a valid
Jeudy
point.
to me just doesn't feel like a cultural fit, whereas I think Waddle and Wilson would be a little more desperate to go play for a winner.
But I also think part of the frustration with Jeudy and his attitude was out of his desire to get paid. So I wonder if the fact that he got the big contract now, if that remedies some of the attitude issues. If he's like, okay.
I mean, are you welcoming Jerry Jeudy back with open arms?
I like Jerry Jeudy. I would.
It'd be hard for me.
I think I think he could be a real dynamic player for this team in this league.
Dante, you're the tie-breaking vote here. Would you welcome Jerry Jeudy back with open arms?
I would. I think Neil is right. I think he wanted to get paid, and now that that's been taken care of, I think Sean Payton liked Jerry Jeudy too. I didn't think he wanted to trade him.
He liked him so much that he got 2 draft picks for him.
No, but I feel like the way he talked about Jerry Jeudy was a lot more glowing than what other coaches talk about Jerry Jeudy.
And I think also with the Broncos, like going back to Sean Payton, like Sean Payton thinks he could, make gold out of sand or, whatever. He thinks he could do it all, with his mind and his play calling and whatnot. And the Broncos were also at a bit of a crossroads when they traded Jerry Jeudy. Like I don't think they had drafted Bo Nix yet, or that was the offseason in which they drafted him.
Correct.
So you're still kind of off the remnant Russell Wilson years, where I think the Broncos, knowing they were going to eat all that dead cap money with the Russell Wilson contract, were like, we need to clear as much cap space as we could. Like the situation cap-wise, financially, everything, quarterback-wise, is a lot different right now than it was when the Denver Broncos said adios to Jerry Jeudy. I'm just saying, here's the thing. If all things being equal, if Garrett Wilson costs the same as Jerry Jeudy, no way. But if you can get Jerry Jeudy for half the cost or a lesser draft pick compared to a guy like Garrett Wilson, I think it's worth having the conversation.
All right. Well, it's a name that is getting a lot of reaction on the RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043. I will throw it to the listeners. Would you welcome back Jerry Jeudy? Give us a yes or no. We'll get into some of that, plus the Avalanche coming up next.
Do the Broncos' struggles on offense come down to play calling or execution?
What would you have liked him to call? What in your mind would have been plays that they could execute? Because if they're shutting down your run and they're going to commit all those guys to the box and saying you're not going to run it against us, then at what point do you look at your quarterback and say, dude, you got to play better?
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
More fiber and laxatives, eh? Who are you? I'm future you. Future me? Constipation with belly pain still coming back? Our doctor figured it out. It's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, and Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. experts trust Stable to do that. And third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
Attention passengers, we've reached 10,000 feet and internet is now available for purchase.
I just paid hundreds for this flight, and you can't even throw in internet? I'll just take the free pretzels.
Sorry, but I do have snack boxes for sale.
I'm just gonna sleep.
In that case, we are selling pillows and blankets as well.
I'll just breathe. That's free, right?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
They say there's no such thing as a free lunch. But not true, I say. Hey, everybody, Dan Jacobs with Jacobs Law and 303 Law 4040, and I'm here to tell you about the best, absolute best free meal in all of Denver. Times are tight right now. You go to the grocery store, things are insane. So we all could use a little bit of help. No questions asked. Anybody that needs it can come by every first and third Thursday. Here's how it works. You pull up, you pop your trunk, they put free groceries for the week in your trunk, and they say, how many hot meals do you need? We pass those to you right through your window, and this is good stuff. This is not soup kitchen stuff. I smoke these meats personally. Delicious pulled pork. I got my special secret Chipotle chicken recipe. It is fantastic. Please help us spread the word. Anybody that needs it, Smoky Hill and Arapahoe Road every first and third Thursday, 4 to 6 p.m. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me personally. It's Dan Jacobs at 303 Law 4040.
What's the biggest mistake you can make when selling your home? Settling for less money. That never happens with Orchard. Disappointing offers can wear you down, causing you to settle for thousands less. You don't have to settle when you sell with Orchard. Orchard reinvented the real estate industry by guaranteeing your home sale and helping you sell on the market for top dollar. First, Orchard gives you cash up front so you can buy and move into your new home first, on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then once you're all settled in, your Orchard agent helps sell your home on market for top dollar. Here's what one Orchard customer said. I never could have sold without Orchard. I made way more than I expected, and it couldn't have been easier. With Orchard, you never have to settle for less. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Curious how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com. Orchard.com.
Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here from my friends at Xfinity, and the other day I'm over at a friend's place. He's pumped to watch football, but his setup, total mess. Lagging, buffering, switching between apps, trying to find a game. He claimed to be a big fan, but I feel like I was being fan-fished. See, if you call yourself a football fan, you gotta have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination. I can find the best games and my favorite teams all in one place. And the way I watch, well, it's next level. It's the perfect fan flex. I've got all the action right in my living room, plus Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K, so clear it feels like I'm in the stadium. Sometimes I've got 4 games going on at once. Why? Because why not? On top of that, I get real-time notifications, live stats right on my TV. It's the best seat in the house every single time. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K cable TV box.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan is brought to you by 5280 Exteriors, the altitude of quality.
Tune into Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, Wednesdays at 9:15 to hear ESPN NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky break down Bo Nix and the Broncos every week during football season. Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
Our listeners are the best, just flooding the text line with Jerry Jeudy reaction. If you're just joining us, this all sparked from a conversation of my column that the Broncos need to trade for a wide receiver. The names I threw out were Garrett Wilson and Jalen Waddle, my 1A and 1B targets. Anilo Pirro threw in Jerry Jeudy, which controversial to say the least. Try to run through a handful of these, won't get to them all. The 4174 says, I'd bring back Jeudy in a second. we should have kept him. 2948, no to Judy, he's garbage. 9304, God, no to Jerry Jeudy, absolute bum. 6235, no way, 2 exclamations point. It wouldn't be close to worth having with his attitude. 7427, holy hot take, man. Jerry Jeudy would be booed back in Denver. And then just to give you some on your side, Anilo, 7947, I would welcome Jeudy back. Supposedly, he's one of the best wide receivers off the snap and getting open. Jerry Jeudy, no, from the 5540. So, quick straw poll. I don't know. I'd say 30-ish texts, 22 of them. Absolutely not. 7 or 8. Sure. Give Jerry Jeudy a second chance in Denver if the Browns are willing to do business.
I think we did a good job. Get the people talking. Get them engaged.
But like 75% of Broncos country is kind of like, yeah, I've been there, done that.
My thing is also just what the price is. Like, I would think it's going to cost a lot more for a Jalen Waddle or a Garrett Wilson than it would a Jerry Jeudy. Here's another name for you. And he's a young guy. I believe he's only his second year in the league. But this team's in complete disarray right now, it seems like. Maybe not complete, but, maybe not as good as they expected. What about Marvin Harrison Jr., the Arizona Cardinals?
I think the price would be astronomical.
But would you rather pay that astronomical price for a guy like him with tremendous upside on a rookie contract versus a Garrett Wilson, a Waddle, a Jeudy that's a little bit more established and has already got the bag? Like, Marvin Harrison Jr. fits the timeline of the Broncos.
Okay. And no, it's intriguing, but I think the Cardinals would hang up on you if you didn't offer a first-round pick. And I'm not so sure the Jets and Dolphins would hang up on you if the price started with a second. That's the difference to me.
That's fair.
Is that Arizona's going to say, hey, we just spent a first-round pick on this guy. We need a first-rounder and then some to give up on Marvin Harrison Jr. this early at all.
Dante is sick back there at the thought of that.
Yeah, well, Cardinals should play a little better, and we won't have these kind of conversations.
Hey, Jacoby Brissett, baby.
All right, play a little better.
Oh,
they have
here we
4
go.
losses by 9 total points.
Did you watch the Titans game? That was one of the biggest gag jobs in NFL
I understand
history.
they fumbled the ball literally 3 different times to lose that game, and they lost by 1. But I'm just saying, 9 points and 4 losses is not bad.
All right. Dante's playing the golly gee, we were close card.
Close 4 times.
Close 4 times. Jeremy in Westminster says Jeudy is a bum, total malcontent, and simply a cancer in the locker room. Why would you ever let him back in your room? I mean, you can tell.
A little strong.
It's strong, but I'm reading these because they are eliciting strong reactions.
Yes.
Like Jerry Jeudy burned a lot of bridges with Broncos fans. And then he came back on Monday Night Football and tore him up last year.
Right.
But it wasn't the warm and fuzzies. Like when the late, great DT got traded, it was all warm and fuzzies. It was standing O's.
He won a Super Bowl, though.
Of course he did. But my point is there are players who have left the Broncos. Von Miller, for example, again, won a Super Bowl legend. I get it. But that people don't have ill will towards. Jeudy, you bring his name up and people are like, no.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like I said, I don't think that's happening. My thought is just more so like, could you get the similar production of a Garrett Wilson, of a Jalen Waddle for a lesser price? Like, that's where my head is at with a Jerry Jeudy and a guy that knows the system to a certain extent.
Okay, but then I got to call you out just a little bit.
Go ahead. No.
You just told me shove the chips all in. So why are you worried about the price if the chips are going into the middle of the table?
That's me playing both sides here. Like, if I'm the Broncos, I'm going after a Garrett Wilson. I'm going after a Marvin Harrison Jr. But if I'm sitting back and I'm George Payton saying, you know what? I don't want to give up premium draft capital. Here's some other options for a lesser, value that I can go out there and get. I'm entertaining it. And, you talking about first-round pick Marvin Harrison Jr., for example, like Micah Parsons, who's considered like one of the best defensive players in the NFL. He got 2 first-round picks, right? And so, like, I'm trying to think, like, I think back to George Pickens with the 5th. I'm not, like sometimes players are more valuable in our – like, how many trades in the NFL have you seen where you're like, that's it? Like, there's a lot of those instances. They're fleeting my thought right now. But draft compensation, like a second-round pick is a lot more than people think on the surface.
Sure. Okay. The 0982 says, I'd rather sign Judge Jeudy. Well played. The 4854 is quoting Ricky Bobby. If you like Jerry Jeudy, then you know what. So, texters are having fun. I did tease the app, so I want to get to them quickly. Anilo, what do you take more stock in? losing to the Stars at home Saturday night in a shootout, 5-4. Mikko Rantanen, of all people, gets the game-winning goal in the shootout. Or just dispatching the Sabres yesterday 3-1 and kind of a ho-hum 2 points on a rare Monday matinee.
I think you got to put more stock in the Dallas loss. And I'm not just saying that because it's a loss, right? It's just because it's the team that has bounced you, is responsible for getting you out of the season the last 2 years in a row. You're expected to beat the Buffalo Sabres. And, of course, old pal Mikko Rantanen is the one that puts the knife in the heart.
I mean, as he becomes more of a villain, I thought it was going to be pretty 50-50, the fan base with Mikko. Like 95% of Avs fans can't stand the dude. He got booed relentlessly every time he touched the puck. Well, he had a third-period Game 7 hat trick in the playoffs to end your season.
Yep.
And then he scores on his shootout attempt, and Jake Ottinger stuffs Nathan McKinnon. Avs 3-0-1, 7 points, top of the Western Conference. Great start, especially compared to last year. But I just have a feeling we're going to see the Stars again in the playoffs, and that's already, even though it's 6 months away, already starting to scare me a little bit.
Got to exercise those demons at some point or another.
Yeah. Like I said about the Chiefs, if someone wants to take care of the Stars, I'm not complaining.
I'm with you, brother.
But Gary Bettman's playoff system is flawed, so that is probably coming. It was fun. It flew by. For Dante and Anil, I'm Will. It's DST on the Fan.
Do the Broncos need some accountability on offense?
Who's holding Sean accountable? Like I'm being serious. Today, who's sitting down in Sean Payton